Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Our today's topic for paper 2 is about the rightly guided caliphs. Okay, we will discuss the main topics, okay, main things that we have to prepare for our CI exam. First of all, we must know the elections of these caliphs. Okay, first of all, we have the Caliphate of Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu Ta'ala anhu. I will share these notes with you people. Okay, the first thing about Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu Ta'ala anhu is about how he has been elected as a caliph. Okay, about his election. ठीक है तो आपने हमने ये बता देना कि Prophet peace upon him did not nominate anyone as his successor. Okay, so at the time of the Prophet peace upon him's death, there was a very great confusion and chaos at the time that no one was willing to accept that Prophet peace upon him was dead. Okay, so no one was willing to accept that he is dead. So at that time, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu showed remarkable self-control. At that time, he showed remarkable self-control and he was the one who made them understand and realize that Prophet peace upon him is dead. Okay. After the death of the Holy Prophet peace upon him, some of his close companions they were busy in the Prophet peace upon him's burial, like Ali Razilullah Ta'ala anhu and Abbas, his close relatives, were busy in his burial. While Ansars they held a meeting. Okay, the meeting was called in at Saqifa, Bani Saad. Okay, so the meeting was going on at the place. We must mention the name of the place that it was Saqifa, Bani Saad. Okay, Bani Saad. It was a place, the council hall for the people of Medina. Sorry. So the meeting was going on there at that time when Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu and some other Muhajirin they got to know about this meeting. ठीक है तो Abu Bakr, Umar, Abu Baida bin Jarrah they went over there and they argued that Arabs will not accept anyone other than Quraysh because Ansars they were about to elect Saad bin Ubada. Okay, they were about to elect Saad ibn Ubada as their ruler, as their um, caliph or the successor of the Holy Prophet peace be upon him. Fine, their chief. The meeting was going on in the house of Saad bin Ubada. It was Saqifa Banu Saad. So they said that Arabs will not accept anyone other than Quraysh because it was their custom and tradition that the successor would be from the same tribe. And the Quraysh that the successor should be from Quraysh. So at that time, Ansars they suggested two caliphs, one from Muhajirin and the other one from Ansar. But this was turned down by Umar Radhiyallahu anhu. Umar Radhiyallahu anhu said that this is will be against the unity and the solidarity of the Muslim Ummah, and there should be one ruler. Okay. And at that time, Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, he told them that, O Ansars, you are the first to uphold Islam. Don't be the first to sow the seed of dissension in it. Okay, so he made them understand and realize that it is that they must understand that they are the first, they were those who supported Islam at the very beginning. So they should also, okay, support at this time. They should not be the cause of dissension and the disagreement amongst the Muslims. Okay, so at that time, Ansars they preferred. Okay, no, no, they realized okay they were Ansars, they were helpers, and they preferred to remain Ansar. So then Abu Bakr suggested two names. Abu Bakr said that you may elect two senior companions are there in front of you, Umar and Abu Baidah bin Jarrah. You may elect anyone as your ruler. But Umar radhiyallahu anhu realized that further discussion and arguments will cause disagreement, and he took hold of Abu Bakr's hand, saying that no, but you and only you, because you are the best amongst us and the most beloved to our Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Okay, so this is how Abu Bakr being elected as a caliph when Ansar Rizwanullah alayhim ajmain, when they saw that Abu Bakr being elected, they accepted. They withdrew from their demand. Okay, तो उन्होंने withdraw कर लिया and Abu Bakr after being elected as a caliph, he addressed them and you can quote his address also that, O people, I have been elected as your Amir, though I am not better than you. Help me if I am right and set me right if I am wrong. Obey me as long as I obey Allah and His Messenger, and if I do not obey Allah and His Messenger, then obey me not. Okay, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu, after being elected, he faced several challenges because it was a very difficult time. Okay, for Abu Bakr at that time, he faced a lot of difficulties, lot of challenges. The first and the most important difficulty and a challenge he faced that whether he should send Osama's expedition to Syria or not. Okay, before the Prophet peace upon him, before his death, he has made an army, and he had prepared an army under the command of Osama bin Zaid to avenge the death of his father. So in 632, so this army was has been sent to Muta in that was in Balqa. Okay, and because Muslim army had lost three of their commanders, Zaid bin Harisa, Jafar, Abdullah bin Rawaha, they were killed. So Prophet peace upon him had prepared an army, and the army was approximately 3,000. You can mention, and Prophet peace upon him had sent this army, but this expedition was postponed due to the illness of the Holy Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him, and they returned. So upon the death of the Holy Prophet peace upon him, Abu Bakr took it upon himself, and he decided to send the army. He discussed the matter in Shura, the advisory council, and they advised him not to send the army outside Arabia because at that time there were so many problems inside Arabia. So they advised Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu not to send the army outside. But at that time, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu showed firmness that who I am to withhold the army that has been commanded by the Prophet peace be upon him to proceed. Let me what happen. Yes, it was at Jerf. You can say that while they reached Jerf, they came to know about the illness of the Holy Prophet peace be upon him, and then they returned. So Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu showed firmness, okay, at that time, and he said that who I am to withhold that army, and the command of the Prophet peace upon him shall be carried out. And when others suggested to change the commander because Osama was very young, he was about 20 or 18 or 20 years of his age. So when suggested कि उनको जो है वो ना किया जाए, इनको replace कर दिया जाए, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu refused. So the army returned successful, and this was the first major success of Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu. Okay, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu gave him advices, the advices that was given usually by the Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him. Okay, not to kill the women and children, and not to demolish the places of worship, and not to cut the fruit-bearing trees. These instructions were given, and Abu Bakr himself marched with the army to some distance. The army was okay to see them off, and then finally, this army they returned successful. Okay, you can mention this was the first major success of Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu. It was a great challenge for him whether to send the army or not. The second problem which Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu faced was of that he faced several problems. Like there was the problem of apostasy movement, there was the problem of refusal to pay zakat, and the false prophets. Okay, first of all, we'll discuss about the apostasy movement or the Ridda wars. Okay, the wars were fought because these were the tribes who had accepted Islam in the later years of his later years of the Prophet peace upon his life. Their acceptance of Islam was not due to the not from the core of their heart, and it was just based on diplomacy or okay, not with full conviction. So with the death of the Holy Prophet peace upon him, they renounced their religion, okay, and they refused to accept the authority of the Caliph, okay, the Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu. So they apostatized, they revolted against the Caliph, and they revolted against Islam and the Muslims. So they were a major threat for the Muslims in Medina, and particularly for the young Islamic community at the time. Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu decided to take firm action against them. Okay, it was not at one particular place, it cropped out all over Arabia. Like you can identify some of the places at that time, that towards north there was Dawmatul Jandal, okay, and Tabuk. Okay, that was on the Syrian border. Okay, towards north it was Dawmatul Jandal and Tabuk. Then in Yamama, and this was led by Musalma, one of the false prophet. Yes, and then we can further identify other places like in Yemen, okay, Najran and Sana, that was towards south, okay, Bahrain and Oman towards east, okay, and Buta and Buzaka in the central Arabia, and Zukissa that was very much close to Medina. ओके दे आर ऑल कनेक्टेड ओके इसमें ये नहीं आप कह सकते कि बिल्कुल अलग अलग है दीज आर द वॉर्स दीज apostasy movement and those who refuse to pay zakat and those who revolted against in the form of false prophet, they are all connected with one another. Like here you can see that there was a Buzaka there from here there was false prophet named Tuleha. Okay, there was a Yamama, and from here there was a false prophet Musalma, and there was there was Yaman and Najran, and from here there was Aswadansi. So these are all connected because these false prophets were supported by these people who apostatized, who revolted against their religion, and they supported the false prophet living over there. So we cannot make difference any difference कि आप उनको अलग अलग identify करो. Here you can write in overall कि apostasy is particularly those who revolted against Islam and the authorities there in Medina. And Abu Bakr, actually there were 11 different places where these problems he started facing. Abu Bakr, as per his practice, that he held a meeting, and he called a meeting, a shura of the advisory council, and he discussed the matter with them. And since there was a problem in 11 different places, okay, shura advised not to confront because it would further weaken the community. But Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu was determined and firm in his decision. He wanted to take the prompt action against such people, rebels, because otherwise they will gain more strength, they will very much powerful, and such type of more uprising could happen. That is why Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu started gathering troops from all over the empire, and he gathered them and he divided them into 11 battalions, 11 groups, and these were sent to the 11 different places, 11, because there was a problem in 11 different places. They were sent with the message from Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu that first invite these revolting tribes to accept Islam. If they will accept Islam, then there is no need to fight with them, and then if they refused, then to fight with them, and strict action was taken against these people. So the campaigns were led by these commanders, and they were successful, and within a year Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu brought the whole Arabia under his control. Okay, you don't have to go in detail about the different campaigns that were fought. ठीक है, उसमें डिटेल में आपको जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Yes, you can mention that first they were commanded to call azan and they will come. It will be a sign that they are believing and they are the follower, they are following Islam. If they will not come after Azan, it means that they have to fight with them. So this was all that has been done to deal with the apostasy movement or the Ridda wars. The next problem was of refusal to pay zakat. That many tribes they refused to pay zakat, and they sent a delegation to Abu Bakr demanding from him to exempt them from the payment of zakat. Such tribes were Banu Asad, Banu Ghatafan, Banu Abbas, Banu Murrah, Banu Abs or Abbas, and also Banu Zabyan. There were different tribes who sent their delegation, and they surrounded the capital, and they sent a delegation to Abu Bakr demanding from him to exempt them from the payment of zakat. Abu Bakr was very much firm on this matter, on the payment of zakat, and he said that if with reference to zakat they withhold from me as much as to tie a string to tie a camel. Being the successor of the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, it is my duty to fight for it, and whatever may be the consequences. Okay, so he said, if with reference to zakat, you withhold even as much as a string to tie a camel, which they were giving as zakat during the Prophet's lifetime. Okay, being the Prophet, peace upon him, successor, it is my duty to fight for it, whatever may be the consequences. या फिर उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि whoever makes difference between prayer and zakat, I will fight for it. ठीक है, whatever may be the consequences. So this was Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu decided, and he discussed the matter with Shura, as it was his practice, and they advised him not to go for the confrontation. But Abu Bakr decided to take firm action against them. Fine, and he decided that if others are not willing to support, I will fight alone. I will go and fight with them alone. This shows his firmness. Okay, because zakat being a fundamental injunction of Islam that should be paid. So Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu himself prepared an army, and he himself led them, and he took them by surprise. So it happened on one night, 632 AD. Abu Bakr led the Muslim army and took them by surprise. They were planning to attack on Medina. They had gathered their troops outside Medina. So in this way, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu successfully defeated them. Some of them were killed, some they fled. Later on, they sent their delegation to Abu Bakr, accepting to pay zakat. Okay, this was the second problem which was faced by Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu. Then the major and the most difficult problem of Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu was the false prophets. Okay, there were four main false prophets that you can identify in your answer. The first one being Aswad Ansi. second one Tuleha, third Sajja, and the fourth, the most difficult one was मुसैलमा. ओके, आपने उनके बारे में ब्रीफ देना है कि फ्रॉम वेयर दे बिलोंग, ओके, वाई दे, अगर उनके नाम की कोई डिटेल है, कोई उनके खिलाफ एक्शन पर्टिकुलरली लिया गया है तो वो, ठीक है, उसको कुछ चीज़ों को आइडेंटिफाई कर लेंगे. फोर्सेस के अगर स्ट्रेंथ है तो वो मेंशन कर दें, नहीं है तो देयर इज़ नो नीड टू फर्दर गो इन डिटेल. ठीक है, बिकॉज अबू बकर्स कैलिफेट, he ruled for 2 years, and during these 2 years he faced a lot of difficulties and problems. Okay, one of the greatest problem that was faced by Abu Bakr was false prophet Aswad Ansi. Okay, he was from Ansi tribe, and he was from Yemen, and because of his dark color, it earned him the title Aswad. Aswad means black. Okay, and he was also known as a veiled prophet because he used to hide his face to hide his ugliness. Okay, and to create a mystery and aura about himself. And he claimed himself to be a prophet during the lifetime of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but Prophet, peace upon him, didn't take any action. So he made tricks and to misguide the people. And he, with the help of a large force, he invaded Najran, which was a part of Yemen at that time, and he also captured Sana'a, the capital of Yemen also. आगे डिटेल्स भी आती हैं, बट ये डिटेल्स इतनी काफ़ी हैं, ठीक है, वरना तो उसकी फर्दर डिटेल्स के सना के गवर्नर को किल करने के बाद ही मैरिड द वाइफ ऑफ द प्रीवियस एक्स गवर्नर. तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें इसमें आती हैं, बट यू हैव टू पर्टिकुलरली मेंशन दीज डिटेल्स इन योर आंसर, कि इतनी यहाँ पे है ना हमारे पास के वन ऑफ द पर्शियन मुस्लिम फिरोज देलेमी टुक एक्शन. असवद वॉज किल्ड बाई हिज वाइफ, ठीक है, ही वॉज किल्ड बाई हिज वाइफ, क्योंकि ही गॉट मैरिड विद, मैंने बताया कि इसने सना के ऊपर अटैक किया था, सना के गवर्नर की वाइफ से फिर इसने शादी कर ली थी. एंड मुस्लिम्स यासवद अंसी को किल करने के लिए फिरोज दहलमी टुक एन एक्शन. फिरोज विद द हेल्प ऑफ हिज वाइफ, ठीक है, जिससे अभी उसने शादी की थी, ठीक है, शी हैड गिवन ऑल द डिटेल्स एंड रिपोर्टेड, सारी रिपोर्ट्स उसके ज़रिए से लेकर फिरोज पर्शियन मुस्लिम अटैक्ड एंड ही वॉज किल्ड. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से आप डिटेल दे सकते हैं, बट बहुत मेन चीज़ों को फोकस करो जो आसानी से याद कर सको, ठीक है, जो प्रॉपर वे में लिख सको कि ही वॉज डिफीटेड एंड किल्ड बाय अ पर्शियन मुस्लिम फिरोज एद-देलमी. ठीक है, ऑल्दो ही वॉज किल्ड ड्यूरिंग द लाइफ टाइम ऑफ द होली प्रॉफिट पीस बी अपॉन हिम, but the news of his death received and it reached Medina at a time when Abu Bakr has taken and he has assumed the charge of he has taken and assumed the office of Khilafat. After the death of the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, his followers regrouped under the leadership of Qais bin Abd Yaghoos. Okay, and they again revolted against the authorities there in Medina. Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu sent again Feroz, the Persian Muslim, with a force, and Muslims defeated the followers of Aswad and his मतलब उसका जो next था Qais, they were defeated, and this is how Yemen it was brought under the Muslim control. Okay, that was about Aswad Ansi, the first from the false prophet. Yes. Then we have next false prophet Tuleha. Tuleha was from Banu Asad. He was the leader and a wealthy leader of Banu Asad and Banu Ghatfan tribe, very influential person and famous warrior. And he started opposing Islam and the Holy Prophet peace upon him during the last years of the Holy Prophet peace upon him life, his life. Okay, he was accepted as a prophet by many of his tribe because he was very much influential and powerful, and he gathered a large force around him to defeat Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu. Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu, so he claimed to be a prophet within the prophet's life, but after the prophet's death, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu decided to take action because he was gaining strength day by day. So Khalid was sent to face him, and the battle was fought in 632. That was known as the Battle of Buzaka, September 632. This battle was fought, and in this battle, Tuleha's forces were defeated, and you can further mention that Tuleha escaped from the battlefield and he went to Syria, and where later on when Syria was conquered during the Caliphate of Umar radhiyallahu anhu, he accepted Islam, and he participated in the battles which were fought against the Persians. Okay, he participated alongside the Muslims and fought against these battles like Battle of Jalula, Qadsiya, and Nahawan. Fine. That was about second false prophet Tuleha. So Tuleha accepted Islam. This third false prophet, the prophetess, that she was Sajah bint al Haris. She was Christian and she was from Banu Taghlib tribe. Some sources mention that she was from Banu Tamim tribe. Okay, a soothsayer. And she, with the help of 4,000 force, she marched towards Medina to fight with Abu Bakr and the Muslim army there. But on the way, when she got to know about the defeat of the Tulaha's forces by the hands of Khalid bin Walid, so she dropped her plan, and then she went to Musalma, and there she accepted his prophethood, and she joined her forces with her. Okay, and afterwards, after staying for some time with Musalma, later on she went back to her city or town, Iraq. वहाँ चली गई वापस. Abu Bakr रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु first sent Khalid bin Walid to deal with Sajjad's force, and then Khalid bin Walid moved to tackle with Musalma, and Musalma got killed in the Battle of Yamama. And after the death of Musalma in the Battle of Yamama, Sajjad accepted Islam along with her tribesmen. The most difficult one was Musalma, okay, the liar, and Musalma al-Kazzab, the liar, an arch liar, and he was from Banu Hanifa tribe, and he was the one who he got a chance to stay with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for some time, and he went to Medina, and there he noticed that the way the Prophet, peace upon him, is receiving revelation, and after when he returned back to Yamama, from where he belonged, so, since he was a wealthy and very powerful and influential person in his tribe, he started claiming himself to be a prophet, and he started misguiding the people of his tribe. And at that time, he sent a letter to the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, also demanding from him to divide the Arabia into two parts, one for his followers and one for the Prophet's followers. Prophet, peace be upon him, replied the letter and called him an arch liar. And he told him that the whole earth belongs to Allah Almighty, and He gives power to whom with Him He may be pleased with. Okay, so you can mention that he started parroting the verses of the Holy Quran and claimed these to be revealed on him, and he claimed that these are being revealed and sent to him from Allah Almighty. Okay, and he wanted a share in the prophethood of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but that has been rejected. After the death of the Holy Prophet, peace upon him, he gained more support, and he claimed that Prophet was a prophet, and he too is a prophet, and a living prophet is more preferable than the dead one. He started gathering large number of supporters. Okay, and he had a force of around 40,000 men inside there in his area, and he, in order to gain more support, what he did, he started he reduced the number of prayers, he exempted his followers from the payment of zakat and fasting, he legalized several things which were considered illegal in Islam, and this is how, by making some attraction, he gained a lot of supporters. Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu decided to take action against him, and he first sent Ikramah bin Abu Jahl to deal with him. And later on, Abu Bakr actually had prepared two armies. Okay, one was under the command of Ikramah, and the second was under the command of Shurahbil. So Abu Bakr first sent Ikramah, and he was supposed to stop the apostates of Yamama from going towards Khalid, because Khalid was dealing the with another false prophet, Sajjah. So when Ikramah reached, he was attacked, or he attacked the forces of Musalma, and because of which he suffered heavy losses, and Muslims, they suffered heavy losses in this battle. Then a reinforcement was sent under the leadership of Shurabil with the same purpose. Again, the same mistake was happened again, and Shurabil also suffered heavy losses from the forces of Musalma. Finally, Khalid bin Walid, after dealing with Sajjah, he was commanded to proceed towards Musalma forces, and Khalid, with a force of 13,000 men, marched towards Yamama. And after a furious battle which was fought, in which about several companions, you can say 700 companions, were martyred, out of which, in which there were several hundreds were Huffaz, you can say 300 or more than 300 or 360 were Huffaz. Okay, and 70 were the best reciters of the Holy Quran. And in this battle, this was fought in a garden, because Musalma retreated in a fortified garden, well protected, and Muslims, they jumped over the wall, they scaled the wall, they entered the gate, they opened the gate and they entered, and Musalma was killed by one of the Prophet's companion, Wahshi. Okay, and You can further give the details that so much bloodshed happened in this battle that the battle came to be known as the Battle of the Garden of Death. The garden which was known as the Garden of Rahman, Hadikatur Rahman, it turned that much filled with the dead bodies that it came to be known as the Battle of the Garden of Death. Okay, that was about the false prophets that we discussed in detail. That how Abu Bakr al dealt with all these false prophets with firmness and with um, okay, then we have one more thing about the expansion of the Islamic Empire, that how the Islamic Empire expanded during the Caliphate of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and there happened campaigns in Iraq and also in the Byzantines. Okay, so first of all, we have to discuss that the battles which were fought against the Byzantines and also the Persians. Fine. So for the expansion of the Islamic Empire, you can particularly write your answer and you can start your answer in this way, that how the Islamic Empire expanded, that there were two superpowers at that time. You can divide your answer into different paragraphs. You can make, yes, there happened so many battles, but you don't have to give the details of all these battles. See how you can write your answer. You can mention that the rebels and the apostates both had the support of the Romans and the Persians at that time. These were the two powers, those who supported these rebels, which revolted during the first initial years of Abu Bakr's Khilafat. These were the superpowers of that time, and clashes started with these tribes, and that is why it resulted in the enmity between the two superpowers, and because of that, Muslims they decided to take action. So in 633, Abu Bakr took the charge of the office in 632. The first year, the complete year, it was exhausted and it was utilized to uh, crush the rebellion, the false prophets, the apostate tribe, those who refused to pay the zakat. ठीक है, पहला पूरा साल इसी में चीज़ों में स्पेंड हो गया. Then in 633, the further Islamic empire was expanded, and ठीक है, you need to learn some of these battles. So in 633, Muslim army of 18,000. Okay, you have to write 18,000, not 1800. 18,000 marched towards Persia under the command of Khalid bin Walid and Musanna. So these two commanders were selected by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to fight with the Persians. Why? Because Arabs they had an underlying fear of the Persian might. Fine. So at that time, you can mention that in order to remove that fear, uh, it was decided to appoint Khalid bin Walid, who was very much influential and who was very much powerful. So Abu Bakr started with the invasion of Iraq because Iraq was on the border of the Islamic Empire, the Persian Empire. So Arabs had an underlying fear with the Persian military might. So to overcome this and to ensure the victory, Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu placed indomitable Khalid bin Walid in command. So the first battle which was fought against them was the Battle of Kazima. Okay, mentioned it was the Battle of Kazima was the first battle in which the Persians were under the command of Hormuz. Khalid offered them three options. Okay, three options were given to them, and at that time, okay, they were offered to accept Islam, to pay jizya, or to be ready for a fight. Okay, one thing that I want to mention over here, that there is no need to write any irrelevant things in the chat. Okay, if there is something relevant to the topic, you can ask. Otherwise, don't write anything in the chat. Otherwise, you will be kicked out of the class. This is the last warning for all of you. So Hormuz was sent. Okay, Hormuz was the commander. Okay, and Khalid offered them three options. This was the regular options given by the Muslim army all the time. So at that time, Muslim they offered them to accept Islam, to pay jizya, or to be ready for the fight. So at that time, you can mention that Khalid, when they refused, and Khalid sent a message to them saying that I am bringing you such people who love death as you people love life. So this was such a you can mention that daring statement from Khalid bin Walid to the commander. I am bringing you such people who love death as you people love life. Persian decided to fight and they were defeated in the famous Battle of Chain. This was also known as the Battle of Kazima. ठीक है. Why it was known as the Battle of Chains? Because this in this battle, Persians they had tied themselves together with chains. One group and one battalion of them they had tied themselves with a chain, and that is why it came to be known as the Battle of Chains. ओके नेक्स्ट आगे जो कई सारी बैटल्स हैं ना उनके सिर्फ नाम मेंशन करने हैं. सी फ्रॉम मार्च टू मे. ओके फ्रॉम मार्च टू मे 633 AD Muslims won four decisive battles: Mazar, Walaja and Ules. And finally they besieged and captured the provincial capital of Hira. Hira को describe कर दो थोड़ा सा. Because Hira was captured with when they signed a treaty between the Muslims and the local Persians. And under the treaty the rulers of Hira were to pay handsome jizya to the Muslims. There is no need to mention कि कितना jizya था. Regularly in return for the protection and security provided by the Muslims. Okay, and the people of Hira were given freedom and they were granted full religious liberty and the civic freedom. ये एक पार्ट हो गया. दिस इज विल बी द फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ, इनिशियल पैराग्राफ की, जिसके अंदर आप मेन उनकी जो तो सिर्फ हमने डिस्क्राइब किया बैटल ऑफ काजिमा को, विच इज ऑल्सो नोन एज द बैटल ऑफ चेन्स. ठीक है. बाकी आगे जो कमांडर्स हैं कि मज़ार में कौन था, उलैस में कौन था और डिफरेंट में क्या कौन थे, उनकी डिटेल में जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. जस्ट मेंशन द नेम दैट हाउ द इस्लामिक एम्पायर एक्सपैंडेड. देन आफ्टरवर्ड्स सेकेंड फेज ऑफ पर्शियन एम्पायर की कॉन्क्वेस्ट का अब यहाँ से डिस्क्राइब करेंगे. आफ्टर अ ब्रीफ रिस्पाइट खालिद्स ट्रूप्स लेड सीज टू अल अंबार. अंबार वॉज अनदर टाउन एंड कॉन्कर इट. एंड आफ्टर फर्दर सक्सेस, ठीक है, इसके बाद फिर आपने फर्दर सक्सेस के बारे में बताना है. साउथ ऑलमोस्ट ऑल ऑफ इराक कहाँ से, द यूफ्रेट रीजन was under the Muslim rule. Returning from a successful battle of the Muslim jungle, Khalid learned of the Persian army gathering against Muslims, so Khalid defeated them using his war tactics and military strategy. If you want to discuss the war tactic and the military strategy, you can mention that it was a fake retreat. Okay, that was a fake retreat, and due to this, Muslims were successful. Okay, and because of their war tactics, the military strategies, Muslims were successful in this battle. बैटल ऑफ फिराज वॉज अ डिसाइसिव बैटल विच वॉज फॉट अगेंस्ट द पर्शियंस. ठीक है, फिराज इसलिए बहुत अहम थी कि बिकॉज मुस्लिम आर्मी फेस अटैक फ्रॉम थ्री साइड्स, थ्री एनिमीज. बिकॉज फिराज वॉज अ टाउन विच वॉज which has a connection with the Byzantines, Persians, and the Christian Arabs. So finally, the Battle of Firaz was a decisive one in which Muslims defeated the combined forces of the Persians, Byzantines, and the Christian Arabs. As a result, Muslims they conquered almost all the territories of the eastern and the western parts of Iraq. Okay, that was all about the battles which were fought against the Persians. Next, you can write about the wars and the battles which were fought against the Byzantines. Byzantines के against जो battle, देखो अलग से battle हजरत अबू बकर की इतनी आपसे नहीं पूछी जाएगी, बहुत भी होगी तो यू मे बी आस्क्ड अबाउट द बैटल ऑफ यमामा एंड द मुसलमा एंड द कंपाइलेशन ऑफ द कुरान. इसके अलावा अगर आपसे पूछा गया तो दे मे आस्क यू टू राइट अबाउट द ओवरऑल एक्सपेंशन ऑफ द इस्लामिक एम्पायर ड्यूरिंग द कैलिफेट ऑफ अबू बकर रज़ियल्लाहु तआला अन्हु. तो ओवरऑल एक्सपेंशन का आंसर आपने ऐसे प्रिपेयर करना है. ओके, तो सो द कॉन्क्वेस्ट ऑफ द रोमन एम्पायर और द बाइजेंटीन, हमें पहले बताया कि अबू बकर हैड फर्स्ट सेंट ओसामा बिन जैद अंडर द he has sent an army of around 3,000 men under the command of Osama bin Zaid, and Osama returned successful from these campaigns. Later on, Abu Bakr रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु sent four more commanders. Okay, ये थोड़ा सा तो बैकग्राउंड दे दिया कि अबू बकर after taking the charge of the office sent the army under the command of Osama bin Zaid, prepared by the Prophet peace upon him. And after this, Abu Bakr sent four more commanders, four more groups under four commanders. They were led by Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. The second commander was Amr bin Alat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Then there was Yazid bin Abi Sufyan, and there was Shurahbil bin Hasana. Okay, approximately in each group there was an army of around 7,000. Altogether 28,000, 27 to 28,000 की army थी. These armies they fought successfully, but when the emperor Heraclius came to know about that Muslims are four columns of Muslim army are fighting. Yes, the file will be shared with you. So when Heraclius came to know about, so he dispatched a large army. उसने भी यही किया, he divided his army into four columns. ठीक है, and the army was sent under the command of his brother Sidorus. Okay, and but his army was, he also divided the army into four columns, but each column, okay, was greater than the whole Muslim army. Okay, whole Muslim army. Abu Bakr रज़ियल्लाहु को जब पता चला, and he was informed by the Muslim commanders about the Byzantine preparation, so Abu Bakr रज़ियल्लाहु sent Khalid bin Walid as the commander in chief of the Syrian forces. Khalid कहाँ थे? Khalid, we know that he was busy in the campaign in Iraq. Okay, so and he had 18,000 men. So out of 18,000 men, he selected 9,000 of his best men, and within 18 days, he swiftly marched towards Syria. Okay, and it was such a difficult task. Okay, to he opted a very difficult route, crossing the desert. He risked the life of his army and his own life too. And within 18 days, he reached and he was made the commander in chief of the Muslim army. And here you can write about that. Here, the Battle of Ajnadain was a decisive one, in which Muslims organization, their war tactics, okay, and it helped them to defeat the much larger and the better equipped Byzantine army. And Muslims, they conquered Palestine and much of the part of the Palestine, Syria, and they finally laid siege to Damascus. And at the time when Muslims, they had laid siege to Damascus, Abu Bakr died. So these are all the overall expansion of the Islamic Empire. ठीक है, यहाँ तक की सारी बात अब आपको पता होना चाहिए। हजरत उमर की हम बैटल्स को इसी के साथ कनेक्ट करेंगे। ठीक है, तो जब हम कनेक्ट करेंगे तो हमें पता होना चाहिए कि उस वक्त कहाँ तक एक्सपेंशन हो चुकी थी, कौन कौन कमांडर्स कहाँ कहाँ थे। मुसन्ना पर्शिया में, खालिद बिन वलीद पर्शिया से इधर आ गए, 4 कमांडर्स ऑलरेडी यहाँ पर हैं। ये चीज़ें याद रखनी है ताकि हज़रत उमर की एक्सपेंशन को जब हम डिस्कस करेंगे तो यू विल बी अवेयर कि हाउ यू विल डेवलप योर आंसर टू फर्दर एक्सपेंशन को कैसे डिस्क्राइब कर सकोगे। ठीक है, तो दैट वाज अबाउट द एक्सपेंशन। आई विल शेयर दिस आंसर विद यू। एक और क्वेश्चन बन जाता है हज़रत अबू बकर की खिलाफत का, कैलिफेट का, दैट इज़ अबाउट द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ अबू बकर रज़ी अल्लाह तआला अन्हु। पेपर में ये सवाल अलग से भी आया हुआ है कि राइट अबाउट इलेक्शन एंड द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ अबू बकर। इलेक्शन, वी नो अबाउट हिज इलेक्शन, दैट हाउ he has been elected. The way he administered the Islamic empire is what we have to discuss over here. Since we know that Abu Bakr did not rule for long, okay, he only ruled for about 2 years, and the first year it remained occupied to deal with these problems that he started facing after being elected as the caliph. So for his administration, we can divide our answer into few paragraphs. We can first talk about the political organization, political system or administration. It was simple because the responsibility of the Khilafat was considered a sacred trust, and Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu being elected and being given this responsibility, he discharged this responsibility with complete honesty and with full responsibility at that time. And you can mention that when he has been elected as the caliph, so what he said, he had set the criteria that I have been elected as your Amir, though I am not better than you. Help me if I am right, set me right if I am wrong. This shows that how he considered himself equal to other people. He has not considered himself superior, and he used to consult. There was Majlis Shura, so he used to consult uh, his Shura, the advisory council, before taking any important decision. And it was a purely democratic system, and believed in the democracy and taking opinion from his from the Shura, the advisory council. And we can mention that he also has divided the Islamic empire into different provinces. There were different provinces. He appointed governors over them, and you can mention that these appointments were also made on their caliber, their abilities also. You can mention that एक तो ओवरऑल स्ट्रक्चर को डिस्क्राइब कर दिया, ठीक है, और फिर देयर वाज एन अकाउंटेबिलिटी, ठीक है, फॉर ऑल दोज हु हैव गिवन द रिस्पांसिबिलिटी आल्सो। फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम वाज आल्सो वेरी मच सिंपल, ठीक है, आपने बताएंगे कि देयर वाज नो पर्टिकुलर बैतुल माल ड्यूरिंग हिज खिलाफत बिकॉज whatever that has been earned from the spoils, from jizya, from zakat, or whatever, that was spent on the welfare of the people. Okay, there was no proper Baitul Mal at the time. Whatever that has been collected, it was spent on the welfare and the requirement, the need of the people. Islamic Empire was a welfare empire at that time also. And you can mention that the sources of income were zakat and jizya, tax, other taxes, and zakat. They were the basic sources of income for the state. Okay, after meeting the expenses, the surplus money was distributed amongst the people in Medina living in the Islamic Empire. You can further mention that there was no proper military at the time. Whenever there was a need of an expedition, people were asked to provide their services and they were asked to volunteer themselves. and the army was sent under their tribal chief or commander, and they were getting share from the spoils, and that was the source of income for those who were providing their services for jihad, for fighting for the army. Okay, so these are the basic things that you can mention in your answer, that his simplicity and his advisors, and there was no fixed salaries, okay, for those who have been appointed, and there were no particular offices and the buildings, there was no particular battle mall, and there was no particular army as a state department, since the Islamic Empire and the Islamic was in its initial stage, okay, at that time. So there were less crimes, there were less problems in the state, and that is why whatever problems were that was faced by them, they were dealt then and there. Okay, so that is why there was no need of any social or civil services like police department, and such type of departments were not there at the time. Okay, so there were judges, there were qazi, those who administered the justice, and there was a complete, you can say, a proper rules and regulations, a proper constitution, and proper duties were assigned to those who have been given some responsibility. अगर आपसे पूछा जा रहा है कि अबू बकर की अचीवमेंट्स के बारे में लिख दें, तो यू नो, नाउ यू नो अबाउट हिज अचीवमेंट्स. ओके, ही हैज सेवरल अचीवमेंट्स. ठीक है, ही ड्यूरिंग हिज खिलाफत द कुरान वाज कंपाइल्ड. ड्यूरिंग हिज रूल ही डिफीटेड the false prophets and those who refused to pay zakat. During his rule, he also took firm action against uh, those who apostatized. So these are some of his basic achievements that you can identify and you can describe in detail. So when there is a question only about the refusal to pay zakat or apostasy movement, if there is a question about the apostasy movement, you should write particularly about the apostasy movement only. Then the way he dealt with these apostate tribe by dividing the army into 11 groups. Fine. Yes, you can add his achievements in his administration, but not in detail. Particularly write in detail about his administration. Like see here, what they wrote in the administration. As for the administration, Abu Bakr laid the foundation of the purely democratic system of government. Okay, and what is mentioned here, following the Quran and Sunnah, Abu Bakr conducted the affairs of the state by discussing all the matters with Majlis Shura. Here you can give some examples. He divided the state into provinces and appointed governors who were responsible for both administrative and military affairs. Public money was strictly accounted for, and all those in government were selected on merit. It should be said that even though there was no police force, all crimes and those who were involved were dealt with the light of teaching of the Quran and Sunnah. If there was like, okay, they were silent, ijma was practiced. By this efficient administration, he preserved the integrity of Islam and by suppressing rebellion and make sure that the pillar of zakat was enforced. So you can discuss that how zakat was enforced and how he dealt with those who uh, were creating problems. And okay, yes, he's appointed governors, and some of the governors were also appointed by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, during his last days. Like Utab bin Usaid was appointed as the governor of Makkah by the Holy Prophet, peace upon him. Muad ibn Jabal has been appointed as the governor of Yemen by the Holy Prophet, peace upon him. So they were governors. Okay, and Abu Bakr too appointed new governors. Okay, I will share the details of apostate tribes with you again. Okay, no need to worry. So that's for all for today's class.